Welcome to Off. Off is a Belgian-made French surreal RPG made by Mortis Ghost in 2008 with RPG Maker 2003. It has a very surreal soundtrack, an amazing soundtrack. Um, Very surreal art, very surreal plot. It took off quite big when it was first released because it was so out there and yet so impactful at the same time. I've been sitting on this one for a while, but something in me recently just made me go, I want to share this with everybody. So the game was made in RPG Maker 2003, and in general, maybe not necessarily very super publicly, but I have not been a fan. I've been very critical of RPG Maker games. And the chief reason for that is because they all feel like RPG Maker games. And it is quite possible with the RPG Maker engine to make something that doesn't feel like it's cookie cutter in, like it's obviously using that engine, but you have to put that extra effort in. And personally, I have some experience with RPG Maker XP. I have a pretty reasonable amount of experience with RPG Maker XP, and which came out just a few years after RPG Maker 2003. XP removed a number of features that 2003 had, but it did also add in a code base, so you could effectively program in whatever you wanted to. And of course, then the community went and pretty much just added everything that was taken away back into the game. But with that said, as someone who actually kind of knows RPG Maker, I would also like to give some insights as we go through. That said as well, Off, I feel, does an amazing job of not feeling like an RPG Maker game, but also feeling like an RPG Maker game. And I think that is to its advantage. It sits in that uncanny valley, which is exactly where it needs to. Off was made by two people. It was technically made by a team whose name escapes me, but I think we'll see in a moment. By a team. But the team was two people, which was effectively the developer and the musician. Mortis Ghost being the developer, was originally released in French. Sorry, I'm like pinging off everything in my head that I want to get through before the game begins. The game was originally released in French. In turn, if there is any actual French words or anything in here, including even the developers' names, I will pronounce them, probably not correctly. I'm just going to put that up front. That said, it has been translated over a few times, and some of the translations were even a little inaccurate, I would say, leading to misinterpretations, especially about the ending, is one note that comes to mind. I am currently using version 3 of the translation, which you can find on, I think, Tumblr. It also comes with if you find the version 3 on Tumblr by the original translator, it also comes with the game, which makes it very easy to play. So, with that said, let's play Off. Be aware that this game is very surreal in nature. There are a number of things in here that could be unsettling to some. Um, as someone who generally can be real bothered by some things, none of it bothered me. It's unsettling, but it's not like gory or violent or anything like that. It's just uncomfortable. Also, the musician that accompanied Mortis Ghost is alias Conrad Coldwood. Again, amazing soundtrack. Unproductive Fun Time is the name of the group. Enter your name. Well, I'm Anaka. It sure is. Usually, as many people know, I either play female characters or go with girl answers. In this situation, I'm going to go with I'd rather not say, because I just think it will flow better overall. I'm actually playing with a controller, which worked perfectly fine as soon as I booted the game up. That said, as soon as I was going to say something, and then it left me. Oh, for one, note that the character here is the batter. We gave a name, but that name is us, not the batter. Us, we control the batter. Think of this as, I guess if you had to put it in concrete terms, think of it as something closer to Baten Kaitos. But in this situation, it is specifically referring to you, the player. Also be aware that given the surrealist nature of the game, many of the plot points and whatnot in the game are up to interpretation, let's say. Cat. Hello. Well, we had to find the judge. That was nice. So also note that every character, when they speak, makes a speech noise, I suppose you could say. The cat's noise, I think, is a cat purring or something? I cannot. That I can. Also be aware that the batter does not have a text sound. We do. I think the batter's lack of a text sound is interesting. I feel like it could relate to something like a be in reference to something like a silent protagonist, which he is not, but he also kind of is. It could also be in reference to the batter's purity, let's say, which is an overarching phrase through the game. Oh, but we have ectoplasm. That means we do exist. And though we've been assigned to the batter, this is actually the first time that we have heard of this. So he kind of zipped up there, but you can see him up there. I don't think he went in the door. I think he actually just jumped up on the roof. So let's see here. What do we have? Object, of which we don't have any. Competence, of which we don't have any. Equip. We have the Herald Bat. Status. Waiting or active, I believe, is our only real option in here. So object, I believe, is something closer to an inventory. Competence refers to your abilities, let's say. Your competences. Which I think is also the CP on the right. It functions similar to magic points. Equip is equip, status is status. I'm trying to think if anything here jumps out at me. Defensive 1, 2, and 3 are just going to be equipment. That's equipment in the lower right. I think special is something closer to an accessory. I don't actually know how much of that comes into place in this game. Attack, defense, Esprit, I'm not sure what refers to exactly. And waiting, this is waiting and active, which I assume is reference to the combat. Quit will quit the game. A luck ticket. I think I mentioned that the batter is kind of a silent protagonist, and I think that comes with him being almost emotionless. He is not a silent protagonist in the way that a character is a blank slate that you can project yourself onto, but more so in the way that you see a lot of silent protagonists that, despite being silent, still clearly have a personality and intention. I think he's more of the second type, but also he does not have a personality. He's a silent protagonist because he offers nothing. I think his portrait is amazing in that regard. This disconnect, this almost machine-like reading of events. (448-287) C. That could be important later. So I picked up this, recovers a moderate amount of HP, so that's a healing item. And, like, you can read that, I think so, not in the kind of, I wonder if I am or not, but instead as a straight factual answer. He thinks he is. He's not seeking anything beyond that. That's simply the answer. Sure. This is interesting, I think. Even looking at the batter's sprite in this point, and that it actually, despite being a larger sprite, has less detail than the overworld sprite. And no expression on his face either. Again, that blank, almost machine-like. I also like that this could be explained very easily, but instead it's being explained with the judge's wordiness, eloquence. Okay, so attack. Our time is up, so we can now attack. Okay, I have to select you, and then we can either attack, use skills, or objects. Or row? I do not think that means there's, like, timed hits or anything. I think it just means evasion exists. Like, this is, at the end of the day, this is an RPG Maker game, so the combat is fairly straightforward. Like, so like, wordy and eloquent, and there's a word, but it's not coming to mind. But, like, it's, at the end of the day, it's still very simple. It's, you have MP, you can do big stuff when you have it. Okay, the Judge, a cryptic feline of odd appearance, 300 HP, 30 CP, no weaknesses, resistances. So that 300 HP is like maximum HP. So something of note from the RPG Maker side is before RPG Maker 2003, combat was handled in more of a Dragon Quest style, where you had the individual panels at the bottom and kind of fought from a first-person perspective. 2003, I think it was 2003 anyway, introduced the side view combat, which you can see here. So this was not programmed in specially for off. This is how 2003's combat worked. XP, by the way, went back to the Dragon Quest style combat, but of course people have programmed in the side view, and you can just go get that. I say that as though anybody gives a heck about XP nowadays, when that was years and years ago, and there are much better versions of RPG Maker out now. Poetic, I almost want to say. His speech. He aways. The game, of course, has a fair number of puzzles in it. Easy. Those are interesting switches. Whoops. That when you hit them, they just kind of... Okay, so I see 1, 2, 6, 8, 2, 3, and there are 8 of them, so we don't have to hit all of them, though, but if we can hit them more than once, then order probably... I mean, it matters, but I'm going to assume it's left to right, top down. So that'd be 1, 2, 6, 8, 2... 3. Oh, now I can go over here. Silver flesh, eh? Okay, healing item. Well, kind of. So I did see this over here. 448287C. Which I assume to be something like this. Four, 8. I forget. Was it 6? 7? No. Four, 287. 448287. 4, 8, 2, 8, 7. C? It's either the center or this one. It was that one. Ooh, a save point. Oh, it's grayed out, but it's the gray is the same gray as the background. So that lets us save. And this is the closest thing we have to a world map. Well, we don't have the necessary items, but we can enter Zone 1. So that is effectively the tutorial out of the way. Apologies if I'm taking it slow. I think this game deserves it.